Hey guys, how you doing? Yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? I'm not too sure, but I put a description as, just because someone seems like an enemy doesn't mean they are. And it got me thinking about certain people in my life who I thought were my enemy, but actually turned out to be, honestly, quite the opposite. When I came into my primary school, I was very behind, and I'm pretty dyslexic, so added that on top already. So let's just say that I was definitely not the smartest when it comes to academics in my class. As I've explained multiple times before, I was quite an angry kid for some reason. One day I was on the playground and I was with my friend, and she had a sibling that I didn't get along with, and we had a massive fight. It was probably not that bad, but at the time it was definitely a massive fight. We got took together after this point to Miss Elwood. And Miss Elwood was, let's say, she was kind of the person that would hand out the punishment. She was not the evil, but definitely the punisher, the person that would scare kids, right? She'd always say, I'll give you a what for, and walk the line and stuff like that. And she was one of the more experienced teachers, so she was more old school with it, you know? She didn't take no rubbish. She took me and Tom, the kid that I had a fight with, to this room, and it was a very little room, and it was, all I can say is magical. You went in there and there was so much stuff on the walls, there was sparkles everywhere, stars, just loads of things. For what I can remember, maybe the rest of the year, me and Tom would go in here every so often, and Tom was, to my understanding, quite bright, to be fair, quite smart, but just misbehaved, to be fair. Obviously I would not admit that at the time as I was a kid, but to me he seemed pretty screwed on, even though he was a little, annoying. And I think Miss Elwood, the amount of arguments, the amount of things, even after this, that I would have with her is astounding. We argued a hell of a lot. But she took us into this room, me and Tom, and she would, maybe it's not that great, but she would pin us against each other in a friendly sort of way. But she was smart because she knew that we were both probably a bit competitive, and because we didn't like each other at the time, not a crazy amount, it worked. I don't know for Tom, but for me it helped a lot because I had an enemy in front of me, which was Tom at the time, and I had to be better than him. Whatever game we were playing, anything we were learning, and we were put against each other, and it worked. I learned how to spell my name. That was where I learned to spell my name properly, and I still remember it till this day, and even to this day, the way I spell my name is flashbacking to her writing it on a board. Tom and my friend would leave the school not long after doing this. Me and Tom ended on pretty good terms, to be fair. What I remember, we were pretty alright with each other. We were kids, there was nothing really much to be upset about. But we ended on pretty good terms. But here's where the real thing lies. I was probably in about year 2 or 3. I still had another few years to go with Miss Elwood. And over the years, me and Miss Elwood would argue and argue and argue. And I don't know if I ever really appreciated her until I left. Because when I left, I'd done a little bit of growing up, and I kind of understood how much she genuinely cared. Even though if it was a bit of a firm hand, she definitely cared. Like, she definitely cared. And that meant the world to me, but unfortunately it was only way after. There's a story about the letter 8 is really important to me, and for this reason. Miss Elwood had a student that she taught, to my understanding, come in when they were growing up. They were like 18, maybe 16, and this woman came in that Miss Elwood taught, and she tutored me for a couple things and helped me through a few things. But I used to draw 8s with two zeros on top of each other. And this lady, I forget her name, she was trying to teach me how to draw the letter 8 for a few weeks, to be fair, if I remember correctly. And I remember sitting with her, Miss Elwood's on a different desk, and I'm trying to do it, and I do it. I draw an 8 for the first time ever. And this lady explodes. Oh my gosh, miss, he did it. And I don't think, up until that point, no one had shown me that level of proudness. And I think, even though, she was so excited, she was so proud of me, it made me question it. Why did she care what Miss Elwood thought? And it was because I think Miss Elwood probably taught her a few things as such as this, and even though she was proud of me, she was also showing it off to Miss Elwood, like she wanted her approval. I didn't understand that at the time, but I do now. I do now, because I hold Miss Elwood at a very high level, even though I didn't as a kid. And obviously, this girl at the time obviously was holding her at that high level. Something I was not yet understanding. And Miss Elwood, she taught me a lot of things, a lot of things that probably shouldn't have been taught to me, but she treated me like a human, not just a kid. She probably understood that I wasn't living the life of a normal kid, and I think she saw right through that, if I'll be honest. So I believe that she taught me things and talked to me in certain ways, knowing that I had other problems in life. The last time I saw Miss Elwood, I was maybe 17, 18. And when I saw her for the first time since I was probably, 10. So I hadn't seen her for a good 6-7 years. You got to think that's nearly half my life at the time. I got so happy. And I went over there and hugged her. And she asked me how I was doing, and I told her I was doing good. And she'd retired, but she still comes and helps out at the school. And, at the time I already knew my perception of her had changed. But seeing that, it just, it made me understand even more. She's retired. She still comes down. She helps the kids out. She still helps out, even though it was never just a job to her. And I can see that now. She actually cared about the kids. She cared about me. And the whole time I was at school, I thought she was the biggest enemy. I was a stupid kid. I was a very dumb kid, but luckily, over certain things she taught me and the care she put into me really affected me. And I'm so appreciative of that. Anyway, guys, I think that is it. a lot of teachers impacted me growing up, and I truly believe it's because I didn't have a lot of adult figures around me that were the best influence, honestly. And not that all teachers are, but the teachers I talk about on here had a massive impact on me, and I just like to talk about it because it means a lot to me.